Welcome back to my channel for this week's Human Design Transit Report. Today is Monday, June 6th. And if you want to know about the current transit we're in right now and tomorrow, then you should watch last week's transit report because that's where I talk about it a lot. This week, we have a transit that is coming up on Wednesday, June 8th, and that's going to be the main thing I'm going to talk about today. Okay, let's get started. All right, this week's transit is going to start on Wednesday. It's going to go through Monday, June 13th. So it's really going to be happening most of this week. And it's a super interesting transit, actually. The sun is moving into the gate 47, which is known as the sovereign gate, the king or queen gate in traditional human design, and distribution in quantum human design. At one point in quantum human design, it was called natural leadership. So I think it's also that, but it's been renamed distribution. So we'll talk about more about that in a minute. And the Earth has moved into the gate 26, which is the gate of integrity in quantum human design. It's also known as the Tirckster in traditional human design. So we'll dive into that more in a minute. But we also have Mars in the gate 21. And so what that means is that we have Manifestor energy again coming up this week. So we're going to have Manifestor energy 2 transits in a row. We have the energy of the motor of the will center going up to the throat, which is where the 45 is. So the 21 is on the will and the 45 is on the throat. And so that's what gives us manifesting energy because, again, we have an open sacral and we have power that is going to the throat. So that's what makes it Manifestor energy. So let's just talk about this Manifestor energy for a moment. The 45, as I said, is the king or queen gate or distribution or natural leadership. And it can be very benevolent. And the distribution part of it is this benevolence, which is that this energy receives resources. The 21 is kind of gathering resources, managing resources, and then sending it to the 45. And then the 45 is going to redistribute those resources out because this is tribal energy. Okay. It's tribal resources. We're all in this together. We're going to pool our resources. We're going to decide who needs what, and then we're going to distribute it out. And that is the higher aspect of the sovereign or the king or queen gate. In traditional human design, this channel is known as the money line because it is about resources and it is about money. And in quantum human design, it's called the channel of sustainable resources. So in the evolution of quantum human design, we're really looking at how do we as a humanity evolve so that we can be more sustainable, more equitable, more just, right? Where we can really be more benevolent and taking account of all of the people of the earth and all of the lives that we share the planet with, and also our ecosystems and our oceans and our rivers and our forests and so on, right? And all of the different critters that live in all of those places. So that's really what benevolence is about, is that ability to take account of all of life. And we need to be becoming much more sustainable than we have been, because what we're doing, the extractive and exploitative model that we've had of predatory capitalism is not sustainable. And, we know this, we're really clear about it, but we're also haven't been sometimes so clear about what to do instead. Now, here's the thing, is the lower expression of this channel, and definitely of the 45, is more authoritarian and more dictatorship, because it is kind of the sovereign, accumulating goods, only divvying out to their cronies, as you were, those who are close in. And it's not about the benevolence for everyone. It's much more of a shadow energy that is trying to accumulate power and resources for itself and to control other people with its power for resources. This is kind of the really negative way that monarchies have worked in the past. And with Mars lighting up that 21, Mars is the warrior planet of the cosmos, right? And in its highest expression, Mars is the spiritual warrior. Mars is not the one with the sword that actually goes out and cuts people's heads off, right? It's much more of the one who's like, okay, I'm going to be focused. I'm going to do, warrior asanas and yoga. I'm going to build my inner strength, and I'm going to do that for the highest good of all. So we want to call on Mars in that expression. But you could see how if that energy is going more to that shadow expression, it could fuel the kind of negative, more authoritarian, more dictatorship energy of that 45. So for you, while we're having this transit, to be really considering for yourself, are there ways that you try to use power, either overtly or covertly, to get resources towards yourself, to control other people, to manipulate situations? And if you do, then try to shift that out so that you can be coming more from that benevolent attitude, which resides upon the understanding that there really is enough for all of us when we can start living in a more sustainable, more equitable, and just way. We will discover that we actually have plenty. I heard a statistic recently that 40% of the food that's produced in the United States goes to waste. 40%. I mean, it's just kind of astonishing. Like, how can that possibly be, right? But every step along the way, whether that's happening in the fields or transportation or in your own refrigerator, or in the restaurants or the stores or wherever they are, 40% of the food produced in the United States actually goes to waste. Clearly, we have enough for all of us. There's no reason there should be starving people. It's about distribution. So one of the things you can be leaning into is how can you be supporting a more equitable and more sustainable distribution of resources in your own family, in your own life, the way that you tithe to communities and causes and organizations that support you and that you believe in. How can you be helping to manage resources so that they are more evenly distributed? How can you be helping out people who maybe don't have as much as you do? How can you be distributing maybe some of the stuff from your garden to your neighbors and your friends and people in need? There's many, many ways that we can be working with this kind of an energy, and that Mars and the 21 can help you do that because it can give you a lot of power and a lot of energy to do that. Now, fortunately, the Earth has moved into the gate 26. Now, the 26 in its low expression, which is what it's called in traditional human design, is the Tirckster. Now, the Tirckster in this expression is kind of what we think of as like the used car salesman. I sort of feel bad for people who sell used cars because this is always, the archetype that we talk about. But it's really kind of the sleazy, manipulative, dishonest salesperson. And that's the person that none of us is going to trust. And we kind of get used to thinking that people who are doing sales are like that. But it doesn't have to be that way at all, because what is sales but really invitations to engage in something, whether that's through purchase or whether it is through enrollment in an idea or in a cause or in a project, right? Because it's that same enrolling energy. And when you use that energy with integrity, meaning that you know that you're doing this not just simply for your personal aggrandizement. I mean, you may receive resources as a result, but you're not doing it in a dishonest way. You're not doing it in a manipulative or controlling way. You're not hiding things from people. You're being very transparent. You're just saying, like, this is what I'm about and this is what I'm offering. All of that energy, when it's offered with integrity, can be very compelling. One of the things that some teachers like to say is, nobody likes to be sold to, but many people like to buy. right? And so when you can tap into that place where people like to be enrolled into, I like to take this a little bit out of the realm of money, because I don't think it's just about buying and selling, which is a cornerstone of consumer culture. And as we are building a new culture that is more just, more equitable, and more sustainable, we need to break our trance with consumer culture. We need to really develop our energy around how we relate with each other, where purchasing, buying, and selling and everything isn't at the center of everything. And yet that 26, like I said, is a very enrolling energy. So it is the ability to be able to invite people to come and work on a project with you, or to be a person who's presenting a cause that you want people to come and either give money to, give their time to, give their energy to, tell their friends about, or somehow take it and then implement it in their own lives. This is all that energy that's in the gate 26. And when you do it with integrity, then it's something that people are going to feel and the right people are going to be interested in. And that energy of integrity can help that money line, right? That 2145 stay out of that kind of authoritarian dictatorship, narcissistic self-absorption, self-aggrandizement kind of energy that it can have. And then unfortunately we've seen too much of historically, and instead elevate that with this integrity, which is for the highest good of all, so that whatever it is that we're doing, we're acting from this sense of benevolence and knowing that, whatever I do to someone else, I'm also doing to myself. Whatever I'm doing for someone else, I'm also doing for myself. So we have a lot of opportunity during this transit to be practicing some very high ideals and some high values, and to be kind of challenging ourselves to be looking at the ways that we can be coming from a higher state of benevolence. This is actually pillar number 8 of feminine sovereignty, is a benevolent approach to all of life. You'll be hearing more from me about that as my book comes out. But this is it's a high practice, because it is something that really kind of disrupts the foundation of Western culture, which is based on power over, being disempowered or asserting power over others, and also, consumer culture. So this is an opportunity for us to break out of that trance of consumer culture and decide to relate to each other in a different way that is based more in our common cause, our common humanity, our common consciousness with all of the life force on the planet, so that we can be growing ourselves into the people that can create this more just society. Okay, that's my transit report for this week. Many blessings, much love. Bye for now.